everyone, Nate here from Cinema Buffs. So on a whim, I just went out and saw Wild at Heart, the 90s David Lynch movie. I've never seen it before, and the Wealthy Theater down the road from my house has been doing this whole series of David Lynch movies, and I had the night off, and I was like, I'm gonna go see Wild at Heart. I'm not that familiar with David Lynch's work. I've read a lot about it, and I've heard some interviews from him and some other things. I know he's a pretty bizarre filmmaker and pretty experimental. I think that the best way to get into this is to start with David Lynch's direction style in general. Now, I think that he is a competent director. I do. I think that he is trying to do something experimental, something weird. Sometimes there'll be ultra violence, sometimes there'll be comedy, sometimes there'll be overacting. I think that's one theme I noticed from this movie is the overacting. I think it was on purpose for it to be funny. There is lines of dialogue where you're like, yes, I know for sure that was supposed to be funny. But then there's other times where I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? I don't really know what he's trying to convey here. It did not let me down in the entertainment aspect of it. I think it ran a little long, and also I think he kept every scene he shot in there. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he shot more, but there were scenes where I'm like, that didn't need to be there, that didn't need to be there. Why did he turn the camera off after that take and said, yes, that was exactly what I wanted out of that? There's some scenes where I'm like, what were you thinking? And then there was other scenes where I'm like, that was hilarious and that was a really funny choice. But for the most part, I was put off by a lot of the scenes, and the story doesn't really have much to it. I did like the way it started off. I liked the opening scene was like, boom, in your face, got the story going right away. And I was like, wow, you're in for a ride with this movie. This is gonna be violent, and it's going to be shocking, and there's going to be things coming at you at all directions, and it did. It kept up with that theme for sure. So the opening, it captured me right away. David Lynch's direction, I think that he has a weird way of directing actors. He does ask a lot from them physically and emotionally, I suppose, but I feel like he's just like, crank it to notch 10 at all times. Nicolas Cage, notch 10. Now, we'll get more into the performances, but the overall movie has this tone of just over the top. It never strays away from it, so I guess that's in its best interest. It never goes away from the over the top. It's never over serious, because it's like, how could you ever take this seriously? It's silly. So our two main characters in this movie is a character by Nicolas Cage named Sailor, and then Laura Dern plays his girlfriend, pretty much, his love of this movie. And this is a bizarre relationship where it is love, and you don't really know why they're in love. She waits for him for 2 years to get out of jail for the first crime he commits at the beginning. And after that, they're like, let's just run away, break parole, let's go. Like, let's just go to LA and be free. And there's no real motive behind it. So when it comes to performances, though, Nicolas Cage is at his Nicolas Cage-ish ways. Yeah, he's over the top. He's ridiculous. But I know that it was David Lynch that was like, be ridiculous, Nicolas Cage. Just go for it. Just get crazy. And he does. He gets nuts in this movie. Laura Dern doesn't steer away from that either. She has some really, really weird moments too. And you might know her from Jurassic Park is what I know her most from. In this, she's very nude often and very naive, and has a lot of demons, has a lot of personal problems, and especially a really weird relationship with her mother. So let's talk about the character of the mother. This was the most ridiculous character. Also, I don't know who's more crazy in this movie as a character. There's one point, I saw the trailer, and her face is covered in red, and I'm like, oh my god, she like is covered in blood, or she has something crazy. No, she just like rubs lipstick all over her face for some reason. All of the performances also stand in line with each other. There's not one person that's just like subdued, and then another person that's like blah, like it's all blah. And Willem Dafoe especially, he's just such a weird looking dude, and they make him look even weirder in this movie, and he has such a weird role that also like progresses the plot towards the end, towards something, and probably the best death in the entire movie happens in that scene. There's all these like metaphors of Wizard of Oz. It sticks to that so closely, to a fault. There's way too much Wizard of Oz in this. There's way too much of her clicking her heels together after a horrific scene between her and Willem Dafoe where I'm just like, that didn't fit. There's lots of references to the good witch and the bad witch, her mom being the bad witch, and someone else being the good witch. At first I was like, this movie has a voice of its own. It has its own tone and its own ideas, but The Wizard of Oz was just constantly shoehorned in there. It is a little bit difficult to score this movie. I think that it has a voice, and I think that it was trying to do something, but I just am not really sure what it is. And I think one redeeming factor is that I want to see more of David Lynch's films. Like, what's going on in your brain, man? You got something going on up there, and I want to know more about it, but I don't know if this is the greatest introduction to David Lynch for me. To say this is a good movie is something I cannot. So I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. It, it's an experience. I can see how people can admire David Lynch for his filmmaking abilities, and I think that he is a competent filmmaker, but I just don't think that this is his most concise one. I really hope to go and watch Elephant Man again, and I think that Blue Velvet is something that I will try next, because everyone's like, if you want a crash course in David Lynch, go Blue Velvet. So I'm gonna check that one out. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this review of Wild at Heart. What did you guys think of the movie? Have you seen it? Do you like David Lynch? Do you like his style? Leave all your comments below. We'd love to know about it. Thanks again for watching Cinema Buffs. If you like what you see, just go ahead and click that subscribe button, and you can see all of our episodes. We got a lot of good stuff coming up in the next month or two, so look out for that. And don't forget, there's no place like the theater.
Alright, so we really hope you enjoyed the review. To see more reviews, click either the box on your right, and to see every future review, click the logo on your left and become one of our subscribers.